All right, welcome back to another podcast. Today we have Alisha Kapani. She is a mind body mentor, and we welcome her to the show today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Love having you here. So, first of all, I'd like to tell my listeners what a mind body mentor is.
Yeah. Um, so essentially, mind body medicine is like my go to modality. And the reason I use the word mentor is because I really don't like the word coach or like healer or like practitioner, even though you could call me any of those things, because I like teaching people the power they have within themselves so that they can solve any problem in their life, that they can heal anything on their own. And so that's why I prefer the word mentor. And I essentially help people heal the root cause of their illness by expanding their consciousness, which that's what mind body medicine is. It's like shifting your thoughts and beliefs, which is your state of consciousness, so that you're in a slightly higher consciousness than where the problem got created. So therefore, the problem either has to go away or the solution has to come into your life.
For sure. I agree that a lot of times we can get in our own way, correct, with our thoughts and then positive thinking. We talk about that positive thinking, negative thinking, and how that can kind of manifest in your life, what direction your life is going to go, correct?
Yes, your consciousness is creating your entire reality. So unconsciously right now, all of your beliefs and the emotions you're currently carrying are already creating in your life unconsciously. So that's why I always tell people there's no threat in feeling what you're already feeling, or someone bringing something to your attention that you're already feeling. Like if you hate your job or something, there is no threat in like the person being more aware of the fact that they hate their job, because it's what's creating your reality anyways. And if you want to create a different reality, we have to change the way you feel about your job in order for something new to come in.
Yeah, and I think people suppress emotions, and we'll get a little bit into that as well, because I know that's something that you speak about a lot. Is people suppress and try to or ignore emotions that they're having, rather than allowing those emotions to come in and be a part of our life.
Exactly. That's what triggered my depression. That's what caused physical illness as well for me, like acid reflux and things like that, because that's the root cause of both of those things. Like depression is just stuck energy or like suppressed emotions essentially. And then acid reflux is also if you're like suppressing everything down and it's like trying to come back up. So a lot of people that like suppress their emotions have some sort of acid reflux or um, like heartburn or things like that.
Interesting. Well, let's since you kind of touched on it, let's talk about your story, where you came from, how
Mhm.
you got to this point where you started helping people, and where you came to this conclusion about using thoughts and how it affects you, because you have a story of some pretty dark days.
Yeah, I had severe depression and suicidal thoughts for like 5 years and anxiety my entire life. I had physical illness as well, but like that wasn't really bothering me. It wasn't until I started having depression that like it was just so dense and so heavy that like I just couldn't live like that anymore. I went through a lot of different phases. I went through the distracting phase first, which I think almost everyone does, which is like, I don't want to feel this pain, so I'm just going to pretend it's not there and stay really busy and try to change my outer circumstances, hoping that that will make me feel better. Like, oh, I just need a new job. I just need another boyfriend. I just need to move. I just need to travel more. I just need to find another hobby. And then I'll be fine. So that was like the first phase. And then that didn't work, obviously. And so then I went to my doctor, tried the conventional route. They put me on antidepressants, obviously. But I was really lucky in the fact that when I was taking the antidepressant, it had zero effect on me, positive or negative. So it was like I was taking a sugar pill. So because it didn't provide relief, it had me keep searching for answers, because I was like, I'm not just going to stay on medication that doesn't do anything for me. So then I started trying unconventional things. So I was trying like hypnosis, acupuncture, EMDR, EFT, like so many different things. and spending thousands of dollars every month because I'd be trying all these things at the same time because I was so desperate to heal that I was like, I just want to heal as fast as possible. So let me try everything at once. And that still wasn't working, and I did that for like a year. And so then, and then I also went through a phase of like contemplating suicide, which I didn't do for a lot of reasons. And then after that, I went through this phase of like, okay, I really think I've tried everything and I'm not going to take my life. And so I don't really know what else to do other than just manage and distract, like stay super busy. So then I just took a job in the field. I was an engineer before. So I was like working in a camp because when you work in a camp, you're like never alone. You work 12 to 16-hour days, you're living together, you're eating together. So I only took that job because I wanted to be distracted as much as possible and like really be alone with my emotions. And there was like a shift that happened there in that moment, though. As much as it looked like I was like giving up and like I stopped trying to heal, when I stopped trying so desperately to heal, there was like this little bit of softening and like an opening. And that's how I synchronistically found my mentor. And then I learned all about mind body medicine. And then I took one of her DIY courses and then I healed from depression. But I think the only reason I received the resource that I needed is because there was that opening and that softening, and I had released that desperate energy to heal. So that's how I found mind body medicine. And then when I healed from depression, I was like, I wonder what else I could heal about myself. So then I just kept learning about it, and then obviously healed so many other things: anxiety, acid reflux, bladder issues. I've healed so many different things. All my relationships are so different. Obviously, my career also completely changed after that. Because very similar to this, like my mentor had me as a guest on her podcast to share my story, and then her community started asking to work with me. So then within a week, I transitioned from engineering to this, and it just like all happened for me because I just think it's my sole purpose.
Absolutely. You talk about managing and distracting as a way that people try to heal. And I think that people, you talked about the distracting part or staying busy, always being around people. I think it's a way of people to they're always constantly so much energy is spent on I have to fix this and I have to fix this today. And
Mm-hmm.
why am I not fixing this?
Mm-hmm.
That they don't allow themselves to just give themselves time and be a little more kind with themselves. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I also think that when people feel like they're doing nothing, uh, like the problem's not going to get solved unless they're taking physical action. So then they don't do the one thing that will help them heal. First of all, help them heal the fastest, but it's the only thing that will truly help you heal is that you have to go within, go more into your feminine energy, which is like feeling, sensing, expressing. And that's where you heal the root cause. And that's like, I find the last thing that people are willing to do. And some people even never get there, no matter how bad the illness is, they will still keep suppressing what they're feeling. Even if the illness is bringing up so much fear, like they have cancer or something just like terrifying, they still won't feel the fear. They'll still be like, no, I'm going to be strong. I'm not scared. What are you talking about? And it's like, no, like the reason the illness is here is so that you feel exactly what you're feeling. But yet still it's the last people think to do. And I really want to change that.
Excellent. Well, why do you think suppressing the emotions, like how does that mechanistically cause like deeper dysfunction in your situation?
Yeah. So like essentially when you suppress the emotion, then the energy stays stuck in the body. Like emotion is just energy. So it's stuck in your body or it's like in your field because we have an electromagnetic field that spreads infinitely beyond our body. It's detectable like 8 to 10 feet outside our body. So that is somewhere in your field or somewhere in your body creating lack. Like I said earlier, it's creating something to show you that it's there. So it's going to be a problem because what else will get your attention unless it's like a problem that makes you feel that exact emotion or those exact thoughts. So yeah, your body already knows how to dissolve emotions or transmute energy when you're not resisting what you're feeling. It's just natural. So when you're resisting what you're feeling, you're blocking that natural ability, that natural self-healing ability and that power that your body already has. And if you want to make it even more like something that someone could understand, a lot of people know that, you have your parasympathetic and your sympathetic. So when you're in your sympathetic fight or flight, the energy is going towards excreting stress hormones and all these other things. And so the energy is not there to be in rest and digest and do the self-healing. So it's just, you're just straight up resisting healing by resisting your emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about that a lot on the program here is how you have to get the body has its natural way of healing. I think this is mentally and physically. But the first thing you have to do, and I think you would agree with this because it seems to be kind of your theme, is you have to get out of the way the things that are preventing the body from doing what it naturally wants to do. Is that fair?
Yeah, you have to find how you're in resistance, and then we need to shift that. Like, and if it's you're in resistance because maybe you just don't know that there's any power in welcoming your emotions, then maybe it's just a shift in perspective. But for most people, it's bigger than that. I'm too afraid to go into my emotions because I'm afraid they're going to take me over. I'm going to wallow in them. I'm going to stay stuck in them. Or I was taught to be strong. I have to hold it together for other people. Like we have to find the way you're in resistance, because some people are in resistance by like being overly positive. I call it putting ice cream on top of poop. Uh, some people are by being overly masculine and just, okay, I'm going to just try a bunch of things. As long as I'm taking action, I'm fixing the problem. So everyone has their own way of resisting, and we need to figure out what that is and shift that. So just like you said, that's getting out of the way or getting out of resistance.
Absolutely. How do this emotional state or how are these manifesting in physical issues? Because I think you believe that, and obviously, you do agree that some physical issues are caused by other things besides mindset and emotions, right?
So I believe that everything in your reality is being created by your consciousness. So that means even if you have a physical illness, that's because of your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. And like if you've ever read You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay or ever studied mind body medicine at all, you can even just ask ChatGPT. These are my physical symptoms from a mind body medicine perspective. What's the emotional root cause of the symptom,
Hmm.
And depending what the symptom is, there's always a thing, like if it's back pain, you don't feel supported. Depending if it's lower, middle, upper, could be financial support, emotional support, something like that. If it's like Lyme disease, it's usually you feel like a victim or life is happening to you, life is unfair. Um, there's just always something physical. If it's your eyes, there's something you're not willing to see, maybe about yourself. If it's your ears, it's usually something you're not willing to hear. Maybe you're extremely stubborn. If it's your knees, that's like stubborn ego. You can just like easily Google this.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So if someone has diabetes, so their system is not handling sugars properly,
yeah.
that could be caused. That could be, because that's it's when you have you know, lipotoxicity of too much fat in the blood,
Hmm.
that will cause the insulin receptor sites not to work properly. So the sugar cannot leave the blood and get into the muscle tissue.
Yeah.
So that is a physical mechanism that is being prevented by too much saturated dietary fat. So how would a situation like that be caused by your subconscious or your
Yes. So
conscious?
the emotional root cause for diabetes is like a lack of sweetness in your life. So like essentially like your life is not very fulfilling. Like you don't have a lot of joy. And even people that have diabetes as a kid, because sometimes people are born with it. So people ask that all the time, like they don't have trauma yet. So obviously it's not an emotional thing, it's just a genetic thing. And that's not true. Actually, you already come into this life with beliefs, because we hold beliefs on 4 levels: core, genetic, history, and soul. Core means in this lifetime, which usually is from the first 7 years of your life, because that's where you were in like a really slow theta brainwave state. And then you have soul, which means past lives. So people that don't believe in past lives are missing out on like a whole 25% of their beliefs that they're not shifting. And then there's genetic and history, which are the same thing, except history means 7 generations or longer. So you already come into this life with ancestral beliefs, like passed down through you. So that's why you would manifest an illness even when you were just born, because you're already carrying limiting beliefs that aren't serving you. And so it's a chicken before the egg thing. So physical illness will manifest because of your inner state. So everything that you just described about diabetes, that's all true. That's all what's the physical experience. But why does one person have it and one person doesn't? It's their inner state. It's their consciousness. And if all you did was shift your consciousness to match someone who doesn't have diabetes, which isn't impossible because how many people out there don't have it, all you have to do is match their consciousness, which is not that hard to do. And then the problem can't exist anymore, and the illness can't exist anymore, and your body will realign itself, which isn't
Even if
that
they
hard, because
continue
how
the
many other people?
dietary habits?
Sorry?
Even if they continue the dietary habits?
Okay, so that's the thing, is when you shift your consciousness,
I got you.
everything's going to be different. Everything about the way you operate is going to be different because you have a different operating system. So
Sure.
the way you eat will be different. You're going to crave different foods. Every single thing is going to be different.
That makes sense now.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that makes sense for me
Okay, good.
because I come from a mechanical background, so I
Yeah.
know why things happen mechanically.
Yeah.
But so, but that makes a lot of sense because if someone heals their body or their mind, they're probably going to eat differently.
100%. Like I used
Oh,
to eat all fast food. I used to eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, fast food. Okay.
me as
And
well.
yeah, and the more I did healing work, and so the more I started to love myself, it was just so natural for me to eat healthy and nurture my body, because that is just the way you think and act when you're in the consciousness of love. So I would feel sick if I would eat even like fries from McDonald's, like, and then I would just crave salads all of a sudden, and that's not something that I ever thought would happen, but it's just because you're on a different uh, program, like a different operating system once you shift your thoughts and your beliefs.
Sure, it's part of loving yourself, right? This is this concept of truly accepting who you are
Mhm.
and truly accepting yourself. Isn't that a big part of the healing process?
Yeah, 100% acceptance. Yeah. Some people find it hard to accept, like if they feel like they did something wrong or bad or shameful, they won't give themselves acceptance. And they think that shaming themselves will make sure that they'll never do that again, or they'll work harder, or they'll achieve more. But it's actually the complete opposite, because shame is the lowest emotion on the human scale of consciousness. For anyone that's never heard of the human scale of consciousness, it's a scale of emotions. So they calibrated every emotion that a human being can feel, and it's a logarithmic scale. And shame is the lowest one. And then there's like guilt, fear, apathy. And then it's like love, joy, peace is near the top. And love, joy, peace is near your natural state, actually. So when you're in shame, you have zero power. You're at the bottom on the human scale of consciousness. So now everything takes effort. So now you're going to have to force yourself to eat different. You're going to have to force yourself to feel motivated to work out or create whatever you're trying to create in your life. It takes physical effort, and you're accessing no real power. It's just force. This is actually from the book Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins. So it talks about how if you're below 350 on the human scale of consciousness, you're using force. But if you're above, then you're accessing power. So it's just so much, everything is easier in your life. You just naturally have this intrinsic motivation and inspiration. And like we said earlier, it's natural for you to do things that are nurturing for your body. So yeah, I'm all about accessing power instead of using force.
Sure, and this brings a natural peace within the system, right?
Yeah, peace is your natural state.
Okay.
So I've noticed that, because when you dissolve fear, for example, you will just notice that you feel peace, because you'll be like, oh, I'm not scared anymore. And then you'll feel this peace. So it's your natural state. It's just underneath.
Yeah, and I think some of us have the ability to create that peace no matter if everything is falling down around us. I know I have that. I've always had that where I've had some pretty horrific things happen in my young adult and childhood as well.
Mm.
And for some reason, I was just a person who found a way to just be able to just not really let that pull me under, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say your natural state is unconditional peace, meaning no matter what's happening in your life, that is accessible to you. The way it's accessible to you is by accepting or welcoming what you're currently feeling. Because when you do that, your body will naturally dissolve the emotions because now you're not resisting them. And then when you dissolve the emotions that are not aligned with your natural state, you will feel and be in your natural state, and you will just naturally feel peace.
So people that are tend to not, like we talked about earlier, not want to feel these emotions, whether it be sadness or grief or shame or anger,
Mhm.
it's okay to allow that to come into you and feel it and let it go through you. Is that kind of what you're saying? Just let it come in, let it happen. Don't prevent it from happening, and then it will work its way through you, and you can get to the other side.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you do the opposite, it will stay stuck in your body as much as you think, oh, time will pass and eventually I won't feel it anymore. No, if you resisted it in the moment when it happened, it stayed stuck somewhere. So it will create some problem in your life down the road. It could be illness, it could be you lose your job, it could be your relationships, could just be mental illness, but it has to show up as a physical manifestation to get your attention just because that's the main way that it gets people's attention. That's actually not the only way to heal. If you've ever read The Seed of the Soul, it talks about how there's two ways to awaken. The first one is through pain, and the second is through like honoring your body and listening to the guidance that you're receiving, because there will be subtle signs first before something turns into something like big, like an illness. Like it'll show up as like someone told you that you did something wrong and you felt so much shame and so much embarrassment. So if you actually sat there and welcomed the shame and the embarrassment and let it dissolve, now you're not holding that shame in your body that will manifest as something worse. Like now you have to gain weight in order to feel shame, or now you have to lose your job in order to feel shame, because there's something has to manifest to make you feel that exact emotion that you didn't process before. So if you want to prevent further problems from happening in your life, if that's the only reason you're willing to go into your pain, just go with that. Like, okay, I don't want things to get worse, so I will welcome my pain as soon as I feel it.
Sure. You talked in interview I watched with you about this divine timing.
Mm.
Can you speak to that? Because you were pretty passionate about that.
Yeah. So apparently, we all have certain things that are in our divine timing. Some people, I think, actually don't have anything that's part of their divine timing. Some people have a few things that are part of their divine timing. So, divine timing means like before you came here, because you chose to come here and have this experience, you already decided certain things. You already came here to want to learn certain things and have certain experiences. So, there to make sure that you have those experiences and have those learnings, there were a few things that you kind of already decided, like you're going to marry this person, or you're going to have kids with this person, or you're going to have an illness that just transforms your life for the rest of your life. It's going to be your awakening experience. So things like that. So I have a few things that are apparently in my divine timing, like having depression was one of them. And I apparently have a divine timing life partner, which I do feel that, because apparently we have like an average of 14 soulmates in a lifetime. Not
Really?
all, yeah, but not all of them are romantic. A soulmate just means your souls have already met in a past life. That's all that means. So it
Oh,
could be like family, right? Or it could be romantic. And even if it's romantic, it might not be compatible. It could be what's called an unfinished business soulmate, meaning like from past lives, you didn't resolve this. So you have to resolve this over here, but you're not meant to be together in this life. So people like that won't feel like called to one person versus someone who has a divine timing life partner. you'll actually already know the qualities of that person before you even meet them because you're being divinely guided to that person. So everyone else you meet is going to feel like this just feels off, like you're missing something that's important to me because you already know the only reason you want those qualities in a partner is because they are the qualities of your divine timing life partner who's a real person walking around this earth and you're already connected to them and so you can feel them.
So this is something that is obviously, and I don't know. I think you're a spiritual person. That's the way I would categorize it. Is that fair to you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I am spiritual as well, but I also believe in a divine.
Mhm,
So things that you say don't shock me or surprise me
mhm,
because I believe that is coming from a creator.
mhm. Yeah.
And so, and I understand that the mind is an untapped reservoir of, deepness that we've just not even scratched the surface on. So
Mhm,
when you talk about these things, they make a lot of sense to me.
mhm,
When you're speaking to someone who is adverse to that,
mhm.
how do you get them to be open to this way of thinking?
So I don't try to convince anyone of anything actually because I don't think it's loving to completely pull the foundation away from someone on how they see life and see reality and try to be like, "Hey, that's completely wrong. Like that's not true." And then they'll be like, okay, so I don't have a new operating system and new beliefs now because I can't just believe what you're saying. It has to be like programmed in your mind to actually be something that now you operate that way, right? So unless they're going to do the healing work and we're going to do what I call belief work, I wouldn't just tell. I did in the past. Obviously, when I first learned these things, I'm like, oh, I want to share this with everyone. And then you quickly realize like people have strong beliefs that they're not even interested in changing because they don't realize it's creating lack. So I'm like, why would I try to disrupt your foundation when you're not ready? So I actually don't share this with people. I just share openly about what I believe and value. And then the people that resonate just find me. Does that kind of answer your question?
No, for sure, for sure. I think as I know you don't consider yourself a coach,
Yeah.
mentor, I like that word.
Mhm.
I've been a coach for quite some time now, and there are people that are not ready.
Mhm.
And I think as coaches or mentors, I think sometimes when we first start this journey to help people, we're so excited about what we've learned
Mhm.
that we just want to like pound it into people sometimes,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. And when they don't take it, sometimes we feel offended. I know I did. It's like
Ah,
this information could help you
yeah.
and you just won't accept the information. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
It's so common. It's because it's like now turned into our identity and like our values and the way we live every moment of our life. So when they reject it, it's like, you think something's wrong with me, then, right? You think I
Yes.
have no value, and we take it so personally. So now what I've realized is like, if someone in my life that I love is hurting or going through something, instead of trying to explain everything that I just talked to you about, I don't do any of that. I go straight into giving them love and compassion. So we're jumping up on the human scale of consciousness. They don't know what I'm doing. They don't know why I'm doing it, but I know that I'm giving them what they actually need. Instead of telling them what to do, I just truly have compassion. And that's what they actually want and need, not just need, but want. Whenever you're upset and people are trying to tell you, oh, you created this, by the way. Like your beliefs and thoughts created this problem. And it's all happening for you, to show you that you're carrying these beliefs and that you need to heal. Like that is not what anyone wants to hear when they're in unthinkable pain and they just got diagnosed with this super scary illness or they just lost their job or their partner. They need compassion and love. And then maybe later, when there's a little bit of an opening, they'll probably start to see, okay, I could see how this was happening for me, and they might come to the realization themselves and they might ask for your insight, or you could ask like, hey, are you ready for my insight? But and if you sense that they're not, like, just don't go there.
I love that. You're creating the love first, and then that should ultimately create the opening.
Mhm.
And because that was awesome. I love that. That's really cool. I like that a lot. Let's talk about there was one story that you told, and I want you to kind of tell this story. It was about
Mhm.
the name tags. It was for a dance audition, I think. Because I made a video a while back on
Yeah.
getting good at saying no, that we don't have to say yes
Yeah.
to everything. And I talk about this a lot with people, and it's like we don't have to say yes to everything, because if you say yes to something that you really didn't want to do, that is going to
Mhm.
create so much stress on you that, you know, it would be unnecessary. So you told the story about these name tags. So why don't you tell everyone about this story, because I found a lot of value in this.
Yeah, so my sister asked me to pick up some name tags for our dance auditions. And immediately when she asked me, I felt this feeling in my stomach that was like, no, you can't do this, you know? But I was like, oh, but she asked me to do it and it'll literally take like 1 minute and it won't even cost me much. I just have to go to the dollar store, you know? So I even put it on my to do list. Next time I leave the house, just go to the dollar store, get the name tags. But then when I thought about doing it, like my body was just like, no. That's because I'm like claircognizant. So I get like a feeling in my stomach. Some people, their intuition doesn't speak to them through a feeling, but that's how my intuition speaks to me. So my body was just making it so clear like, this feels extremely heavy, even though it's something so simple and will take no time and cost me like nothing. My body made it very clear, do not go get these name tags. Right. And so around 99% of the time, I do listen to my body now.
Yeah.
So I didn't get the name tags, right? I was like, I'll just deal with whatever my sister says to me. You know, she'll be upset with me, whatever. I'm not getting the name tags. And then we go to the auditions and we know every single person there. We already know everyone's name. So we never needed the name tags. And I get this kind of awareness all the time where my body tells me ahead of time, you don't need to do this. Even if you think that you do, if it feels heavy, I promise you it's not required. You know, like even you know, back when I was an engineer, right before I started doing this work, I knew I wanted to do something like this. So I was like, oh, I should create a website or something, or at least like, you know, a landing page or even like a PDF that's like, this is what I do and this is how you can work with me, you know, like something. And every time I thought about doing it, even every time I thought about even hiring someone off Fiverr to do it for me for like next to nothing, my body kept telling me no. And I don't know why. And that seems logically stupid. Like if I want to grow my own business, you need to create a website, right? But I listened to my body because it felt so heavy and it kept telling me, no, don't do it. Don't go on Fiverr, don't hire anyone, don't work on it yourself, don't create a website. So I didn't create a website. And then I found out later why it was never required for me to create a website because my mentor hired me a week later to mentor her community. So I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to create my own website. I didn't have to market myself. I didn't have to create an email list. So back then it felt extremely heavy for me to create a website because it wasn't required. But then fast forward years later, felt really light to create a website because now it was at the point where like I'm being guided to now do my own thing, you know? So every moment's a new moment. I like to tell people that where something might feel like a no right now, but keep checking in because maybe it won't feel like a no later. And like also you do need to feel the difference between like being triggered and something being like scary versus something truly being heavy and like not aligned and not resonant. It's very different.
Well, that's a good point, because so what was in your mind? What was the reason why you didn't want to get the name tags? Because, like you said, it's a very simple, kind, generous thing to do for someone.
Yeah.
Why do you think, in your, besides the gut feeling that you didn't want, like, what was the reason though?
So I don't make decisions from reason. I make decisions from my wisdom. It was straight up my body was just
Really?
telling me don't do it. I didn't have a reason. And
Huh.
sometimes I find that when I try to put a reason on top of it, that's not even the real reason, right? Because I could say to you, well, I don't like being controlled by my sister. I hate when she just tells me what to do, right? Like, but that's not the ultimate reason because if she had asked me to, she asks me to do other things all the time that don't feel heavy and they create a lot for us and our dance team.
Oh,
So no, there was no reason. It was just my body knows something that my mind doesn't know.
sure. Yeah, and I've had many times in my life where I've felt this heaviness you're talking about, in something and I ignored it and I did it anyways, and it never ever turned out well for me ever. So I do believe in this gut, whatever you want to call it, intuition, gut instinct, like something that your body. So what you're saying is that your body is giving you this heavy feeling
Mhm.
as a way of warning you, basically, that this is not the path you want to go down, or you don't need to do this right now.
Exactly. Yeah. And then something will feel light when your body's really trying to get you to go in that direction. Like, this is going to transform your life, go in this direction. And I always tell people, if it doesn't feel like a hell yes, it's a no. So, meaning like,
I love that.
yeah, meaning you could still do it. Go ahead. Right.
Right.
If it doesn't feel like a hell yes, but you're like, should I not? Go ahead and do it. And you'll notice that that thing didn't transform your life. It didn't create anything massive. And that is why to this day I trust my wisdom so fully, because I just started to pay attention that when it felt like a hell yes, what got created, when it felt like a no, what got created, and when it felt like anything in between, what got created. And so that's why I just trust it so fully. And not everything is going to feel like a hell yes. So you might think, oh, I'm not getting clarity, I'm not getting guidance, everyone else is getting guidance, I'm not being guided. There's not going to be that many things in your life that feel that light, like, because there's not many things in your life that are part of your divine timing, like we talked about. And, there's only probably going to be a few people that you date that are going to be like, that's going to change the trajectory of your entire life. So there's probably only going to be a few people you meet that it feels so light to be with them. And not every job that you apply for either is going to feel light, because you're not meant to work for every single one of these people. It's probably just one, or one for now. And then a few years later, maybe it's someone else, or some other company or something like that. So like, there's only, like, when I talk about mentors that I've hired, there's only been now 3 that have given me that hell yes feeling. And every single one of them has transformed my entire life. But like, if I had worked with people that didn't give me a hell yes, which I have, it didn't create massive transformation. So I would just tell people, like, pay attention to what gets created, and you'll trust that more fully, and you'll realize it's not a hell yes. Like, it's just not transformative.
Right, because you can go back to the decision that it didn't feel like a hell yes,
Mhm.
but it didn't feel like a definite no. It was kind of in the middle ground, is what you're saying. And
Mhm.
then, okay, go ahead and do that if you want to, and then look on the back end. How did it turn out? And then retreat back to, okay, well now that's going to be your guide, right? For
Exactly.
those,
Exactly. Yeah, I do that a lot when someone invites me to go to something
yeah.
and it doesn't feel like a hell yes. And then I sit there and contemplate forever. Do I want to go? Do I not want to go? And I already know by now that if I sit there and contemplate and I'm so unsure, that I know that it doesn't matter whether I go or not. That I could go, maybe I'll have a good time, but it's not like I'm going to meet the love of my life at that party, or make a new friend, or make a connection to collaborate with. Like, that's not happening. If that was happening, then it would feel light, really light, for me to go to this thing. So I just tell myself it doesn't matter what you choose, and I just put that pressure off myself. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that takes the pressure off for sure.
Mhm.
Well, and that brings me to one point I want to speak to. This is and I worry about I'm 57, so
Mhm.
I I see a trend in the younger population, and I worry about this.
Mhm.
I don't want this to become isolation,
Yeah.
because I see a lot of isolation tactics by younger people, and it's like, well, this person doesn't align with my energy, so I'm cutting them out of my life completely. Or
Uh-huh.
this person, I don't like the way this relationship is going, so and I see this a lot with uh, parents, parents and their young 20 something children, young adults. And so they just, rather than working through their issues, they've just decided, I'm just going to cut this person out of my life completely because they don't align with my energy and align with my belief system.
Mhm.
And I just worry about that. You're not subscribing to that, right?
Oh, absolutely not. That's actually something that I did because I was carrying so much shame, that whenever a friend or family member made me feel like I did something wrong or made me feel shame, I did cut them out of my life. But that was because I was trying to avoid the feeling of shame, and I didn't realize that. And then my mentor called me out on it. And I had to dissolve so much shame before I was ready to go back to these people and apologize and be like, I cut you out of my life from a triggered state to avoid feeling my own shame. And they really understood. And, all those relationships are closer than ever. So I do not at all agree with cutting people out of your life to avoid feeling a trigger, because all you're going to do is manifest another person in your life that makes you feel the same trigger. Like, they're serving you if they're triggering you. And honestly, you're going to heal more from people that are not aligned with you and don't think the same way as you. If all you do is spend time with people that have the same beliefs as you, you're not going to get triggered. And then you're not going to know what needs to be healed within you. So you might think, oh, I'm hanging out with people that are enlightened and this is going to increase my vibration. But no, you're actually going to heal faster when you hang out with, your family and your friends and your siblings and your partner that triggers the shit out of you.
I agree with that 1,000,000%. We need to face things, and we need to deal with things, and we need to work through things. And that's how you grow as a person. And I know I'm an old guy saying that, but that's just the way life works. So I applaud you on that. So great. I wanted to clear that up right off the bat. Okay, so a couple more things and we'll let you roll. So just explain what is mind, body, medicine, and quantum healing, because I'd like people to kind of know the definition of those terms for you.
Yeah, mind body medicine essentially just means that your mind and body are connected and that your thoughts are affecting your physical health. So we kind of did touch on that already. And so quantum healing is essentially saying the same thing. It's that your consciousness is creating your reality. So by shifting your consciousness, you're doing the healing work. You just need to come, that saying by Einstein, the solution doesn't exist in the same problem where the consciousness got created. That's what quantum healing is, to keep it very simple. It's just, okay, the problem was created at this consciousness. I just need to be even a 2% higher consciousness. Problem goes away or solution comes in. That's what I would call quantum healing.
Sure, it's just raising yourself just above that level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely, and that removes the problem. So, what is there any initial action steps that someone could take on their own? And we'll get into how they can contact you here in a second. But is there anything, if someone's suffering from anger, resentment, and all these different emotions that we suffer as human beings, what's just some first initial things they can do, maybe initially in the moment, or something that can maybe help them initially?
Yeah. So my go-to tool every time I'm triggered, I call it the ABC tool. It's just 3 steps: awareness, breath, conscious choice. So the first step is awareness. That's the most important step, actually. So if you never do B and C, it's okay. Awareness. So you need to bring more awareness to what you're feeling and experiencing rather than less. So that means, like, don't distract, don't suppress, don't try to keep busy, don't try to take an action so that then you feel temporarily better because you're like, oh, I'm solving the problem. Don't do any of that. Go into the pain and where you feel it in your body. Because if you're actually triggered, you will feel some sort of physical discomfort somewhere in the body. That's why we call it mind-body medicine or the mind-body connection, because you're going to have like maybe a thought that you don't even realize that you had, and then it made you feel discomfort somewhere in the body. So notice where you feel it in your body. If you don't notice it at first, try to amplify it, because again, there's no threat in this. Whatever that thing was that triggered you, think about it again, right? Like, if you're scared about money, amplify it. Okay, if I lost everything, how would I feel? And I couldn't pay my bills and my family is relying on me. And like, what are people going to think about me? And then feel what you feel in your body, where you feel it in your body. So first bring awareness to where you feel it in your body. And then you can ask yourself different questions as a way to bring more awareness. If you're new, like, okay, how does it feel on a scale of 1 to 10? If 10 is like really intense, really painful, and 1 is like not that painful, like, where is it at? And like, is it like really huge or small? Like, what's the size? Like, is like a big rock in my stomach or a tiny little pebble in my stomach? Maybe it doesn't even feel like a rock. Maybe it feels kind of like fluffy. Maybe it feels just like butterflies, just like asking questions like the size, the texture, And the answer to these questions does not mean anything. It's just that when you're answering the question or tuning in to try to answer the question, that was maybe 10 to 30 seconds that you didn't resist your pain. And like we were talking about earlier, it's only when you resist it that it stays stuck in the body. So our only job is just get you out of resistance. And so that's why asking these questions can, get you out of resistance and bring more awareness to what you're feeling so your body can work as it's designed and dissolve the emotions. And then part B is breath, because like we talked about earlier, we want you to be in your parasympathetic rest and digest state so that your body can do what it naturally knows how to do, self-heal. So we need to slow down your breath and bring it more down into the belly rather than shallow breaths in your chest. So just slower, deeper belly breaths. Sometimes it can take as little as 3 to get out of fight or flight. But if you're really triggered, you might need more than that. And I actually just combine A and B now. I immediately start bringing in the breathing while I'm bringing awareness to what I'm feeling. And then part C is conscious choice. Conscious choice, it's like kind of like an affirmation or bigger picture awareness, or, just like I choose to relax my body. I choose to feel peace. I choose to be easier on myself. Whatever you feel like in that moment that you need to hear. But you could probably even skip part C, because some people get really caught up on like, what do I do with part C? Or they only do part C. Like they're only in their mind trying to think of like an affirmation or something that will make them feel better. So that's really the least important part of the equation.
Excellent. Yeah, I like all those ways to attack the problem. It's for me, I've always been a deep thinker.
Mhm.
So if something's happening in my life that I'm struggling with a decision or working through emotionally, I will think it to death.
Mhm.
And I think that's been a big reason why I've been able to have so much peace in my life, is because I don't ignore it. I think it through, and I go through all the different scenarios. Well, what's the worst thing that's going to happen, in this situation? Like I would think it all the way through. So I really subscribe to that as well. Do you find that your people that you help, when they implement those, they immediately find some relief in tough situations?
100%. Especially when we're having a session, I don't bring in the part C until they feel lighter, because otherwise you're putting ice cream on top of poop. So I'll just sit there with them for a few minutes until we bring in part C. But we always have the opportunity to bring in part C, usually within a few minutes, 5 minutes. Like usually doesn't take very long for them to immediately feel lighter, because like we talked about earlier, your body already knows how to release this. So we just need to get you out of resistance. And sometimes having someone there to guide you is what people need, because they have so much resistance to feeling what they're feeling, because they don't want to feel their own pain.
Exactly. Agree. Well, thank you so much. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you if they want to work with you and help get some healing. I'll also leave all the links and everything down in the description of the podcast as well. So let them know where everyone can find you.
So you can find me on my website, alishakapani.com. You can find me on all social media platforms. I mostly hang out on Instagram. So that's just Alisha_Kapani. And that's where I have like a lot of free resources on my website as well. So that ABC tool we just talked about, if you want like a free guided version of that, that's on my website, and also link in bio on Instagram as well.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was absolutely really illuminating interview. I appreciate you having me on here.
Thanks for having me.